What is up, bros? Josh here. In today's video, we are going over the newest version of the currently work in progress Tier 10 IJN Cruiser, the Yoshino. And one of the best parts about this ship is I can actually tell you how this is going to be available. A lot of the ships we've been talking about recently, I just haven't known yet, and Wargaming hasn't announced yet. However, the Yoshino has already been announced as being a cool ship, so look forward to that if you are enjoying a IJN style cruiser and want basically the big brother of the Zao, or the pre-nerfed version of the Azuma, which is the Tier 9 battle cruiser for the IGN line. The Yoshino, though, was something I was really excited for, and then they ended up nerfing it down. And then we ended up getting the Azuma, which I found to be a pretty underwhelming ship. However, this has gone through a buff, and even in my last video, I talked about how I thought the Yoshino might have got a small little nerf, and then actually probably would have been sent out that way. However, Wargaming's gone and buffed this ship, and so I feel like it's definitely, if you're looking for a bigger version of the Azuma and like some high tier gameplay and like some high tier IGN cruiser gameplay, this is definitely gonna be a ship that you're gonna want to keep your eye on and look forward to getting. However, what are the buffs? And if you could tell just briefly on the reload has been buffed on this from 20 seconds down to 18.5 seconds. One of the worries that Wargaming had with this ship is its lack of DPM, or damage per minute, on compared to the other tier 10 cruisers. This one, though, I thought the guns were fine. It's a trade-off. You're a bit tankier. You have a relatively big health pool. And, you know, compared to the Zao, as you see right there, you have almost 20,000. You have about 20,000 more. I think that Zao actually had survivability expert. But you have a decent health pool for this tier, and you're fairly tanky. You'll see me actually shake off a few shells from some battleships and actually be able to tank. However, you will also see me be a cruiser and take. And I thought that was kind of funny. We actually ended up hitting another ship instead of the Henry. Just got a little lucky there. But the ship overall got some buffs, and also got a second version of torpedoes. It has both a 20-kilometer version, which I am using in this game, and I found them actually to be quite useful. And it has a 12-kilometer version, kind of like the Zao has. So whether you like to play a bit more aggressive or a bit more kind of trolly memey, this is kind of what I'm setting up. I feel like this is just a really good ship at holding down entire sides kind of by itself, slowing down the team in those 20-kilometer torps. Now they're going to have a bit longer of a range, or a bit longer of a reload, but at almost 3 minutes. But they're still pretty dang effective, so I have been using the 20 kilometers. But the buffs were 20 seconds to 18.5 seconds on the reload. The fighter consumable is added to the slot with a spotting aircraft, so your choice. I am still running the AA playing the fighter plane because I am still a test ship. This is still work in progress, so stats are subject to change. However, with this version, I feel like we won't see too much difference before this goes live. And then the number of charges buffed from 2 to 3. Reload time lowered from 135 to 90 seconds. Action time 60 seconds. Number of fighters 4. So we have a decent amount, and that is with the premium versions right there. But it also added the alternative mode. And so one of the things that they changed on this was they thought that just the reload was too slow. I actually thought they were going to quite nerf it. I feel like the ship is pretty accurate, and with those big shells can actually do a lot of damage against cruisers and battleships. However, when I was playing it this night, the guns felt pretty inconsistent, more than I remember, and I don't know what it was. And then I had a few games, still the cruiser, took a Citadel there. I didn't know if it was just a bad run of games I had or what, but I was like, man, these things are hitting like limp noodles. And so I just kind of want to say that straight up. It seems like the big caliber shell, you're shooting out 310s, which are pretty big, but you can still obviously dunk on that since they are bigger. The Citadels are going to be fairly big, so one Citadel is going to be a lot more than what it would be in the Zao. But you're shooting out 310 millimeter shells, and it didn't feel like on a consistent basis that those shells felt like that. You'll see me shoot a lot of AP because I kind of feel like I just should, but you've seen me shoot multiple salvos without a Buki and lots of overpens. Not quite the Citadels that probably a Zao would have gotten, but still you'll see how effective the ship still can be. And again, you see me kind of just playing pretty passively. It is IGN playstyle. We're not going to be rewriting any rules here, not going to be rewriting any books. You're going to be playing pretty passively, farming things down, waiting for the right broadside, shooting salvos like that out, and then hopefully dealing a bunch of damage. However, that Zao turns in just a little bit and doesn't get sent back to port by me. Still, though, I like this ship. I think it's something that when I played it again for the first time, was the other night, and with this new version, still pretty much kind of the same ship overall, just with the reload increased, or decreased if you want to look at it that way. It's still absolutely solid. I really like this ship. This is a ship I was really excited for when going over the Azuma. I really like the idea. I like playing the Zao, and I like the idea of a tankier Zao. It almost kind of countered the Stalingrad in a way, and with this getting kind of a buff, this thing's going to be pretty nasty as a cruiser, and I think if you like that playstyle. However, I think IJN cruisers in general have kind of fallen out of flavor. I mean, with other things like the Henry and Des Moines getting its legendary module. There's some other ships that I think that are a bit more sexy to play right now than a lot of the IJN ones, but if you enjoy the IJN playstyle, this is definitely something that you can look forward to. Also, look at those torp angles. Yeah, pretty nuts, and again, that's why I like the 20 kilometers so much, but you can see if I bring up the torp reticle again, you'll see how long the reload is. Almost 3 minutes. But this one, you feel comfortable taking multiple ships. You feel, I wouldn't say quite like a battleship, but you do feel like that battle cruiser, and really feel like, and here we're going to see some broadside action. And this was when I was kind of let down. Laser accuracy on the salvo. I thought they were going back to port, and I don't know. It felt so weird. I remember talking about how strong the guns were in the original version, and then we get that. This could have just been a bad run of shells. We had a few games kind of like this, and it just seems so weird that those weren't citadels, and I didn't quite get rewarded. But we do get rewarded on the Woosters. Thankfully, they're just sitting there, and again, a nice little 17k salvo. But I remember that throughout all the games we played that night with this ship, it felt pretty, I don't know, questionable, and I didn't want to kind of let that go, so I kept playing, and then we ended up getting the solid game where it felt, yeah, all right, this ship is still really strong. The buffs, I think, were probably not really needed, and can we all say heck yeah to 20 kilometer torps? See, with 12 kilometers, that wouldn't quite work. However, you do need to be very careful of where you're launching these. Do I think 20 kilometer torps are the best thing to give the player base? Probably not. I mean, how many of us have gotten hit by an Atago shooting 10 kilometer torps at something that's way out of their torp range, and hey, they got to get the torps off, right? 20 kilometer torps, however, do give a bit of a potential threat from the friendly side, and here you see me finally switching over to HE. Again, though, already in 8 minutes, we're up to 100k. We're flooding out that, and we even get one on the, as you see, IJN torps. They're rolling very high. We even get one on the Wooster that's almost at max range, which I thought was kind of funny. But here you see me, and this is kind of the strength of the ship. The ship can kind of be by itself. As you see, the rest of my team is south of the E-line. I'm basically right at the E-line, but I'm the only one on this side of the map. I'm the only one that has angles on this side of the map, and I feel pretty comfortable doing that. I can go stealth if I want to with 11.9 kilometers. With that, that's full concealment as well. So if you do run those 12 kilometer torps on this ship, you can still stealth torp, just barely though, with 12 kilometers being the other torp range. But again, right there, I really tried to make the AP work, and you're getting okay damage, but it doesn't feel like 310 millimeter damage. It feels like if you've ever played the Alaska, and that's kind of an up and down side of the Alaska is its AP. Its AP is extremely strong against certain things. You feel like you're gonna absolutely obliterate things, and you get 3 or 4 overpens, and then you fire the next salvo in the exact same spot, and it seems like you dev strike the thing. So seemed like a bit of an inconsistency, something I didn't really recognize, but once things start clicking, and I kind of figured that, hey, these types of ships, so it seemed like cruisers and cruisers definitely go on AP against them. You can still puncture through. Battleships, if they're giving you a nice broadside, you can still make it happen, but embrace the HE. You are an IJN cruiser, and just embrace the HE against those ships, because the HE Alpha, you'll see me issue almost exclusively AP in this game, and I think I even said, please Yoshino, show how good you are with your AP against this broadside Wooster by giving me 2 citadels, and you'll see exactly what I thought. But even though I'm kind of ragging on this ship a bit, we're at almost 150,000 damage already in just 10 minutes. And we've been able to tank a bunch of damage, hold a bunch of ships back, and be pretty comfortable doing that. Now, one of the reasons, and a lot of people ask, is why would you take this instead of the Zao? Why is this a ship that you would ever use instead of the Zao? I feel like it's because you just feel safer. You can really kind of control a side of the map with this. You can tank more with the Zao. The Zao is going to have a better stealth and can definitely get into spots that are a bit more aggressive, and then punish a bit more. But this one, you have more freedom. You have more armor. You have a bigger health pool. You have bigger guns to defend yourself. And the AA even ended up being pretty fine. We shredded some planes whenever the tier 10 CV was coming at us. And if you like the Zao, or maybe even like the Azuma, which, and there we go, AP against those cruisers, Woosters against USN especially, very, very, very deadly. So those 310s seem to be some kind of sweet spot. I think we fired 3 salvos that connected against those cruisers, and all 3 of them had citadels in them. So pretty good sign. But you'll see some AP against this Iowa as well. This is a pretty good showing of what the ship can do against battleships. But again, consistent accuracy on the shells, but for like productivity with the shells, I wish I could have saw more, and I just want to be brutally honest with you guys. However, I still think this ship is very good. Even the buffs I don't think were even needed, but I do like this ship. And will it be worth the coal? I think so. I'll obviously do a work in progress video for this. Like right there, I don't know if that was the blind abyss that is the torp bulge or what, but 5 full pens for 3,000 damage, that just seems so underwhelming to me. I really wish I could have got like a nice citadel. I tried to get citadels there, and again, we're getting ricochets. So it seems like you go from ricochet to overpens, and not quite that big fat salvo that you think you will get. And I think we switch over to HE for basically the rest of this game, and you'll see me get to go and use those. Now, upsides of the ship, I felt very comfortable with multiple, and again, and those are the inconsistencies, as you saw. Absolutely obliterating the cruisers that are sitting broadside. Even when they're angled in, you can overmatch that armor, which is a nice tool to have. But when you're going against these other battleships, ricochets and blah blah blah, this is why I think if you're going against battleships with any kind of angle, I think HE will probably be the way to go, and it'll just be way more consistent. But here you see how much damage the ship can still pump out. Once you get probably after I say that, we get probably our worst salvo of the game with only 1 hit. But still, just you can pump out a lot more damage consistently against battleships with that HE ammo. I mean, that's not really too surprising. Cruiser versus battleship, HE's good. Of course it is. The big upside about this, though, is it does have very aggressive, which I kind of like when you need to get aggressive, very aggressive torp angles, which are a lot of fun, and you'll see this kind of work. Already, we're at 169,000. Nice. Damage on this game, held down, felt very comfortable, and we're going to start pushing into the enemy team against battleships. You have some armor, feel free to use it. We have the torps, we're going to use those, and we have some pretty big shells for AP. We're going to see what we can do against this guy. And here, I think we're going to try to, I think my idea was, and as you see right here, that's a pretty solid angle. Now, there's one that's a tad more in the back, and then one that's a bit more in the front. IJN torps like the Zao, as you see right there, there's kind of one more towards the front, then one more towards the back. So you will need to kind of focus a little bit on that. But getting into these spots, I love this part about the Zao and the IJN line is using those torps as well as the guns and using your stealth. Something I've always enjoyed about this line. The Zao, though, one part about the Zao and almost the weakness of the Zao is its torps are all in the back, and I always call them like butt torpedoes, if you want to call them, because you have to really show a lot of broadside when you're getting aggressive on something, and that is can be very, very risky in that ship. It's known for having very trollish armor, but still you have to give up basically a broadside or more to get those torps out. This one, not so much. It's almost like a German cruiser style torp angle. And as you see, we're setting up a bunch of IJN torps. Again, you saw some of the damage, 16,000, 17,000 on those that we were hitting. And as you see right here, we can actually shake off this battleship shell. He probably got a whole bunch of ricochets. I thought I was absolutely screwed here. I was like, no, there goes the video. And only 7K. So really not too bad. But we are going to start working on that AP. Again, you're going to be seeing the HE and AP damage. And again, the AP felt underwhelming there. Full pen, over pen for only 2,000. I felt like that should have been a tad more. Probably would have been a tad more. But still, another 5K. We were getting almost that damage with the HE. So may still take a few more games, or take a few games to get used to if you're not used to this style of ship. But still, as I try to bring up any negative part, we've pretty easily done almost 200,000 damage, and we have more to come. In all the other games we played, I think we had one 80,000 game. That was a game that just went so fast. And then we had another 100,000 game. It was pretty easy to get some damage in. And this one wasn't any different. And this one was just like, oh, wow. Because I was getting that question of, wait, did they change something more about this ship? I thought I liked this ship before. And there we go. A nice little game right there. So overall, I still like this ship. It got the buffs. I didn't think it quite needed the buffs. I thought the ship originally was quite fine, and I was excited to play it, and my thoughts on the ship were maybe they'd even nerf it a little bit. But we have this new buff version, and I think that we'll see something go live that's relatively close to this, and that will be pretty dang strong, especially if you like that IJN Cruiser. Is this going to jump up and be the best tier 10 cruiser in the game? No, probably not. But the best part is you will be able to pick it up for coal, which will mean it will be a freemium ship if you are playing consistently. So that's always awesome. So one I definitely would look forward to. Compared to, let's say, the Azuma, I think this one's definitely going to be one to pick up, because I feel like the Azuma is just the nerfed version. It's not as tanky. It's not as exciting. This one, though, I like it a lot more and feel way more comfortable in the ship compared to its tier 9 nerfed counterpart. But overall, this is the second version of the Yoshino. I think a ship that didn't quite need the buffs, but it got one. Again, on the reload from 20 seconds down to 18, and a whole bunch of extra stuff, getting stuff like spotting aircraft, which I wasn't using, and also the option of taking either 20-kilometer torps or 12-kilometer torps. Up to you and your playstyle. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.